Two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Write this down.
The OG edition of Write That Down here. 10 years of mostly incorrect predictions on Minnesota sports with Mackey and Judd. We just started a new season a couple weeks ago here, so we're out of the gate with our new statistics for the 2025 season after a very thrilling finish to last year. And we'll get this fired up here. We'll explain how it works. We'll make our predictions after we shout out Legit Pizza. The Mackeys threw their weekly Legit Pizza in the pizza oven. Actually, we had one over the weekend, and so we actually had two of them, I will say, this week because they're phenomenal. Stone-baked, cracker-thin, crunchy crust, zesty tomato sauce, that melty cheese, signature spice topping. You can find Legit Pizzas, which are, in my opinion, this might be the best frozen pizza I've ever had. And I've had a lot of frozen pizza, but it's very high up there. The Goffs, got the Goffs hooked on the Legit Pizzas. So you can have an authentic at-home pizza parlor experience. Just stop into a grocery store and grab Legit Pizzas. All right.
Write this down.
How we feeling here, gentlemen? How we feeling?
I'm feeling like it's a new season, and so I'm optimistic still. I didn't have a good year. Like, I'm not coming off a good... I was, 295 or so, which is not awful, but it's not great.
Yeah, you're a multi-time batting champion.
I've won batting
trying to get
before.
back into...
Yeah.
Maybe you're past your prime.
Oh, that's very, very possible. But I've now signed with Pittsburgh, and I'm trying to get back. Like I was with the Yankees at one time, and then I got traded to the Dodgers, and then I got shipped to the Marlins, and it didn't come together last year. And now I've signed with Pittsburgh, and I'm trying to reestablish myself as a big leaguer.
You're violating your own rules of athletes, which is you're staying around a little too long.
100%. I'm too long in the tooth. I should retire.
Get out of the cage and get out of the field, just like the Twins, Judd. Too much cage work. Too much individualized preparation. You got to go back to the team aspect. Get on the field. Run the bases a little bit.
Dave Popkins screwed me. That's the problem. And write that down. I blame him.
Where's he working now?
Toronto.
Did he latch on somewhere? Toronto?
Mm-hmm.
The Popper?
He's no Borg. Okay. He's no Borg Schulte.
No, we're gonna find that out here once the regular season starts. All right, here's how Write That Down works if you are uninitiated. It's 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable predictions. We keep track of batting average and home runs. And listeners, if you want to participate as a guest listener predictor, like our guy Prashant is about to, you can send Declan a message through the Score North app, and we will get you scheduled for some time in the springtime here. So we'll start with Judd. You had 4 things come off the board. You said Eriksson Ek would be scratched from one of Sweden's games in the first 3 games in the Four Nations face-off.
And now he comes back and plays 1 game here, and he's on IR because they didn't hold him back.
So did he grind through the Four Nations?
Of course he did. Yeah, of course he did. He skipped the last game here. He goes and plays for his country because I wouldn't miss it. And now he's on IR week to week, which probably means a month or so. Yeah. So, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous.
There's an all-time great Judd rant from yesterday's JHS. AJ tweeted out a video of it from his Twitter account. All-time great Judd rant, just absolutely beside himself over this Eriksson Ek decision to play for his home country.
So if he would have just taken the rest for a couple weeks or whatever it was, like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Would he be fine physically, do you think?
Well, it would have given him rest. He certainly didn't do himself favors by playing in a highly competitive tournament while injured.
Judd, you also said Matt Wallner would hit the first home run of spring training for the Twins.
Hit the second or third, right?
Yeah, he hit one this week, going in.
Yesterday.
He hit one yesterday.
Against the Bombers.
But the first one was the new first baseman guy from Seattle.
Ty France hit one. And actually, they played 2 innings of a game a couple days ago, I think against Tampa Bay, and Royce Lewis homered. So I don't know if that counts in spring training or not, since it's not a complete game. Who cares? Yeah. I think
technically Royce would have hit the first one, but it wasn't Wallner. You said Luka would drop 50 points within his first 5 games as a Laker. He did have a triple-double against his old team last night and stared down the Mavs general manager on multiple occasions.
Thank you, Nico. That was a great chant.
Yeah, that was. And I think he stared down Jason Kidd a couple times, too. And then you said there'd be no first-period fights in the championship game between USA-Canada. That is correct, right? There were no first-period fights.
There were not.
Scale back to fighting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then I had a couple things come off the board. I said the Ishbias will purchase the Twins and then spend at least $100 million on a free agent in the first full offseason. Now the Ishbias are now. It looks like they might buy the White Sox in the next couple years. It was a turn of events.
Minority stakes, man. I didn't like that when that came out in January, and look what happened. Now they're gonna go buy the damn White Sox.
Yeah, well.
And for them, it's like, okay, Justin Ishbia lives in Chicago. It is a top 3 big market, even though they're terrible. You'd be maybe buying low on a team with a ton of revenue potential. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I did tell you that Canada would beat the United States. The revenge game. Listener Charlie said he had a 4 Nations parlay. The Canadian anthem would be booed in the championship game. There'd be at least one fight in the first period, and USA would beat Canada. And Declan had a rough week here. 3 things.
Very rough.
USA beats Canada by multiple goals. Anthony Edwards gets another $100,000 fine before the All-Star break or through the All-Star break. And the Ishbias would be the reported owners of the Twins by opening day.
Rough week.
So with that here, a couple of us have hits. It's still early, though. I'm leading with a .333 batting average. Judd 250. Declan and the listeners still looking for their first hit of the season. No home runs yet. All-time stats dating back to 2018. Declan batting .346. He leads that category. Judd with 354 career hits leads the total hits category. And listeners with 70 home runs. The all-time home run champions here.
70 dingers. Wow.
70 for the listeners, and then it's a wide gap to my 60, and then you guys at 48 and 47.
It's a wide gap to my Dex. When did you start with the OG?
2020.
So you've had a 2-year head start in that home run category on Declan, and he's about to pass you.
That's what I was going to say. I was just going to point out my own flaws again. Playing past my prime. I didn't know I can't hang it up.
Yeah, this is getting kind of embarrassing, quite frankly.
I got no pop in my back. I got no pop. I'm too old.
Let's get guest listener predictor Prashant in the mix here.
Hey guys,
what's going on, man?
Not much. Just looking forward to trying to hit some dingers here. We'll see though.
Well, yeah, is that your strategy? You're not squaring around to bunt here today?
You guys will have to let me know, but I'm kind of taking the Miguel Sano approach. If I make contact, it's going to go a million miles. Otherwise, I'm just going to strike out.
Love that. Yeah, give us how'd you get started on Minnesota sports? What's your fandom story?
Well, I'm born and raised here. I think I've heard about 1,000 times the story of Gary Anderson from my dad. My formative experience with the Vikings was we went to it was the year before Brett Favre came, the season ender against the Giants, where Longwell hit that game winner to send them to the playoffs. And then they just got boat raced in the next game. And that's kind of where my cautiously optimistic fandom began. So, yeah.
Yep. I think cautiously optimistic is, it's how we've all been living for decades.
It's what I call the Gus Frerotte year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Gus Frerotte season. Of course, he didn't start that last game. Tavares looked terrible, and they still started Tavares against the Eagles in that playoff game, and the rest is history.
So that was 2008. What was that was kind of a weak Super Bowl, right? Well, that was the Steelers Cardinals Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a revisionist history path where if the Vikings stick with the grizzled Gus Frerotte and they don't put the deer in the headlights, young Tavares Jackson throwing a pick six, do they win a home playoff game against the Eagles? We'd have to go through the bracket, but the Cardinals were the representative.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that season, but it maybe there was a different ending there.
Tavares threw a pick 6 to Asante Samuel Sr., correct?
Yep. And Chris Clemens lifted him off the ground and spine busted him into oblivion.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that.
He was going back. I was at that game. There's actually, I will find it, and maybe I'll show it on Feedback Friday. I was at that game as a fan with face paint on in the upper deck, with my Darren Sharper jersey on. A lot of things happening in that photo and timeline of my life. But yeah, there's the pick 6. But Chris Clemens lifts T-Jack off the ground by his pads and just throws him into oblivion while he was trying to stop Samuel.
Yeah, that was because that was the year before. Brett Favre getting beat up in the NFC Championship game the next year kind of led to the NFL saying, all right, let's protect quarterbacks a little more than we do. So yeah, T-Jack didn't quite have that quarterback protection. Anyways, back to reality here. From memory lane to reality. We're going to start with Prashant over to Judd, Declan, and then I will round it out. We'll make 3 trips around the room here. So write this down. Fire away.
So my first prediction is T-Wolves related. So write this down. Whenever this information is announced, less than 15% of the new Timberwolves arena will be funded by public money. So I think we're not going to see, I think it's going to be a trend going on, especially with private equity groups starting to get involved with ownership. I think we're going to start to see less and less public funding for some of these arenas and stadiums. It's going to be more from private money. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Prashant putting his faith in A-Rod and Laurie, and that might be a separate group or a similar, but it might be a separate entity that does the arena stuff. That's what I've heard anyways behind the scenes, that you'd have a real estate development group or something, and maybe there's some overlap. But write this down. Yeah, you can't keep going back to the taxpayers of Minnesota after 15, 20 years of all these other structures that we've paid for. Judd, your first prediction.
All right, we saw the shift to this actually announced yesterday with the news that the Wild Capitals game on March 27th is now going to be shown by ESPN Plus, I believe. So write this down. Alex Ovechkin will tie and or break Wayne Gretzky's all-time record for goals scored against the Wild March 27th at the X. So he scored again last night. He's 12 away. The website that's doing the prognosticating on this goal actually predicted it would be in early April against the Blackhawks, but he scored a hat trick on Sunday. He scored another goal last night. He also gets a ton of empty net goals, which helps him. I think he's going to tie or break it at the X.
That would be a cool moment. I think as your first fan instinct is you don't want him to break that record against. You could still win the game if he scores a goal. So it could still be a happy night in that regard. Mm-hmm. But I'll never forget. I was it the Winfield? What a win! Is it the 3,000? I have a certificate. There's a Cal Ripken certificate. Then Winfield. I think Winfield. Yeah,
Winfield did it here.
We've had a history of historic things happening. Oh. Mostly baseball, I guess. Well, Brett Favre initially broke the touchdown record at the Metrodome.
That's right. Yeah, the Metrodome for what in reality was a pile of garbage. The Metrodome, the amount of historical events there is off the charts.
Yeah,
there were so many like the Favre thing. 3,000 hits was Winfield in 94. I think Murray in 95. Ripken in 2000. There was just a bunch of really cool stuff that occurred in that sort of dump.
Ovi also owns the Wild. He has 20 goals in 24 career games against Minnesota. So obviously they don't play a ton because they're in different conferences. And I think the numbers at the XL are even more insane. I think he has averaged more than a goal a game in his career when he comes to the X.
I'd love to see it here. That would be awesome.
Get those certificates printed out. Write this down. Hand them out, just like the Cal Ripken one. Okay, back to Dex here for his first prediction.
Yes, so let's go with this one. The Wolves will convert Jaylen Clark's contract to a standard deal before the end of the regular season.
Yeah, they no doubt should and almost have to.
Yep. So I think this is probably a layup, but I think this probably happens regardless. So Jaylen Clark will be converted to a standard deal before the end of the regular season.
We're getting closer to the Wolves having to figure out who's going to be sitting and who's not when the veterans come back. It's going to be a dance here. They're on the road. They got 3 more games out west, and that's between now and Sunday. and then they come back home for a minute against the depleted Sixers, and then they go back on the road for 3 of their next 4 games. Sounds like on the road swings here that DDV and Julius Randle are going to come back. All right, Wolves-Lakers parlay for tomorrow night. NBA TV. Be a 9:30 late night tip-off, so get your naps in. So write this down. The Wolves beat the Lakers on Thursday night. Anthony Edwards outscores Luka Doncic in that game. And Jaden McDaniels grabs 10 or more rebounds again. I think Jaden and Ant, there's something about Luka that they feel punked from the playoff series last year. And it's not just the Mavericks, it's that Luka specifically punked them. So I think those guys are going to be fired up coming off that Oklahoma City win, a couple days of rest, hanging out in LA. So that's my 3-item Wolves parlay.
Write that down.
All right, Prashant, back to you. Second prediction.
Let's see. I'm going to go Vikings with this one. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah will be the executive of the year either this season or next season. I think he gets underappreciated for his background as a commodities and value person. I think that's valuable, and that's something that other teams are going to start to look at, kind of winning within the margins. So I think he'll get some credit for that this year or next year.
Yeah. It feels like,
Write this down.
Sometimes I think the executive of the year gets credit for like a draft class from a year or two ago popping too. Like, hasn't the Lions GM won it a couple times, maybe even back to back?
He won this year.
Okay. And some of it's like, oh, he's had a few draft classes stacking up against each other, and also the team performed really well. So if JJ McCarthy comes in and plays really well, and Dallas Turner, Kwesi would get retroactive credit for the 2024 draft and the Vikings having a really good 2025 season.
When's the extension coming? That's my question still. It's so weird. Like, is it not done?
They're going to extend him, right?
Well,
I mean, he's been the GM of a team that's won a boatload of games the last time.
And I've seen this weird thing like the Wills need more time to look at his drafting. Well, you can't gauge the April draft for like 2 or 3 years. Like it's not like, okay, the draft's done. Great job, man. I see a lot of starters. So
yeah, that
can't be it.
I mean, I could see wanting to gauge his 2024 draft, but that's also not just on him. That is a collaboration process.
But then you're going to wait till his contract expires and do it? Because, like, if you're going to gauge the 2024 draft to 2025, that his contract's up after 25. It's just weird because KO's contract's been done for, what, a month and a half now? Got done in January?
It'll happen. It'll probably happen in the summer. I think he's probably saying, the next 3 months are crazy for a general manager, so just let's do it in June if we're going to do it.
Write that down.
All right. Because it cannot help itself, because they have been shamed into believing that what hockey did was an all-star game, despite the fact it was not an all-star game, it was a tournament. The NBA will adopt some type of format for its all-star game next season that will feature the U.S. against the world, or something that will be an international attempt. So, it might be, I don't know, I want to give myself some room here, but it will be like the United States against the world, or it'll be the United States against something else that they'll call it, but it'll be an attempt at an internationally flavored game, and think, okay, this is gonna be the breakthrough. It won't be, but I think that's what we're gonna see next.
And they kind of did some of that?
I think they did
this year, but all right. But here's if it's USA versus the world, here's the world roster. Or actually, let me just give you, based on win shares this year, this is just like the top 10 to 15 players in the NBA. Jokic, SGA, Domantas Sabonis, Karl Anthony Towns. Now, you could argue, like, Towns could be on the American team. I know he was on the Dominican international team. Yes. Some of these guys have, I think, dual citizenship. Mm-hmm. Jared Allen would be, from Cleveland, would be another big on the American team. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, so that's nice. But it's Giannis. It's all of these dudes. I mean, Luka Doncic is not among the top win shares guys because he's been hurt. But it's kind of crazy how many great players are outside the U.S. You'd still get LeBron and Anthony Edwards and stuff.
But I think it'll be competitive. Like, they're going to really, really try hard now.
No,
That's going to be
maybe
them.
they should just take a day off instead. Take a weekend off.
Amen, brother.
All right, Dex.
Write this down.
All right, write this down. Carlos Correa will hit his first spring training home run by next week's Write That Down. So no home runs yet for C4. I think C4 gets planted by next week's Write That Down. We'll make some spring training predictions. C4 planted over the fence here by next week's Write That Down.
Okay.
Write this down.
Okay, write this down. And I think we may touch on this on Purple Daily NFL takes today, but the Falcons and Kirk Cousins are feuding in the media here since the Super Bowl. So Kirk said, he went on, did a couple interviews during the Super Bowl Radio Row week. He's like, I was injured. I didn't really talk about it, whatever. And I think it was Terry Fontenot came out yesterday, the Falcons GM, and said, he was on the injury report in week 13 or 12, but he was fine after that. So if that injury was a thing after that, we didn't know about it, certainly. So either Kirk was hiding an injury from the team, or him and his camp are trying to just kind of manufacture some reasons why maybe his performance was worthy of benching. So write this down. The first part of this is kind of a given, but the Falcons will cut Kirk Cousins, I'll say before week 1, and he will be a Cleveland Brown. He will be a Cleveland Brown. Or a Raider. I'll say or a Raider. I'll throw those two teams up. Browns or Raiders. They'll cut him and he'll be a Brown or a Raider. Off the record, probably for like a league minimum, veteran minimum contract. But it's headed for a very messy divorce.
I can't wait
a
to
very
talk about it.
expensive, messy divorce.
I can't wait to talk
Write
about
this down.
All right, Prashant, what's your third and final prediction?
All right, so I'm going to go Timberwolves again. I think, was it last year or the year before that Edwards had that big block against Indiana, and that kind of spurred their whole second half run
Last year.
So I think we're going to see that again this year. So write this down. The Timberwolves will win at least 15 of their remaining 23 games and will finish a top 4 seed in the Western Conference.
Wow. Let's go.
There you go.
Let's get the 50 wins. Let's make it happen.
50's nifty.
Yep. the failed tagline of the first year of Flagrant Howls back in the first year of Rudy. So, Prashant, great work here. Since you've got this life-altering platform, is there anyone you'd like to thank that helped you get here today?
I'd like to thank my wife. That's pretty much a given, thanking the significant other on this show. She supports my crazy fandom. Like I said, I'm much more of a cautious optimist. I don't get too overheated or anything about games, but she gets pretty heated on my behalf. She's like texted me sometimes, be like, "Why is Kirk so trash?" But thank to you guys, listening to you guys and kind of getting me back into the world of sports has been great for me. And I'm just looking forward to hopefully seeing one of our teams lift a championship trophy here within the next couple of years. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Prashant. Appreciate you. And we'll definitely get you on again sometime, man. There he is, Prashant, guest listener, predictor here before.
Trash. That's why his wife. Why is Kirk so trash? Gotta love it.
Yeah, I think my wife for 2 years was like, "Can you stop talking about Kirk Cousins around the house, please? Can you? Why are you fighting with people on Twitter?"
My wife hated him. He also tipped her really low at a restaurant years ago in Chicago.
What?
So
yeah, you said that a while back.
Yep. My wife used to live in Chicago, and Vikings players used to frequent her restaurant. So did CM Punk. And by the way, CM Punk, an excellent tipper. I'll have a prediction about him momentarily. But Kirk, they comped a big bill, and Kirk tipped like 9% on a humongous bill.
And, was he unhappy with the service, or is he just cheap?
Nope. He was very, very pleasant and kind, and just tipped very low. Very low.
Is it possible that once you get to a certain level of rich that you just you don't even know that like 20% is standard, or do you know and you're like,
no,
you
know.
know.
You know.
Okay.
And you can tip like for a situation like that, some guys will tip like $200.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've got it.
If you have it, you could change.
Like, are you really doing the math?
She said,
like,
Jimmy
are you
Butler,
really like?
Yeah. Jimmy Butler's a good tipper. CM Punk's a good tipper. A bunch of other Chicago people have come through that have been good tippers, but Kirk, not a great tipper.
I feel like what's Kirk? Kirk seems he's got the old van, lives a relatively modest lifestyle. He's made crazy money.
I guarantee you, on a bill, Kirk does the math, which is insane. Like, I do the math.
If you do the math and only tip 9%, you're an ass.
Agreed.
Unless the service was like awful or something, or you're about to get food poisoning and you know it. I don't know. But that's not the server's fault either. That's the kitchen's fault.
My stomach's rumbling. 8% for you.
I don't. Did you tip MSP Plumbing? Do you tip plumbers? How'd that work yesterday?
No, you don't. No.
Okay.
No. But Joe,
I bet
showed
they're
up.
talking about you. I bet. Well, that guy
Joe
doesn't tip.
showed up in a van just like that. That's not Joe there, and did a fantastic job because MSP is going to take care of your plumbing, heating, and cooling and drain needs. 100% family-owned and operated business committed to taking care of you and your family. Here's the most important part: building trust. And I'm going to tell you right now, Joe came to my house yesterday, checked out the furnace, told me what was what. At one point said, "Hey, I don't know what you know. I don't want to insult you by telling you too much." And I'm like, "Joe, I don't know a darn thing. That's why you are here to help me." And here's a great thing too. How about this? MSP giving away a free furnace in the month of February. Book a $49 furnace tune-up, and you will be entered to win a free furnace. You must book the tune-up this month, though, in the remaining days to be entered to win. For service, give them a call, 651-615-4292, or check out their website, callmsp.com. They do absolutely great work. And this is, again, another situation where you want people that you trust. If something goes wrong, plumbing, heating, all of that stuff, MSP, I'm going to tell you right now, you can trust them. Call msp.com.
Write this down.
All right, get us your final prediction here, Judley.
All right. We've not done a twin show yet this week, and this has been driving me crazy. So that the news broke about the Ishbias on Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like now they're they've pivoted to the White Sox. And so write this down. The name of at least one more prospective buyer for the Twins will emerge via a credible report. So like Bloomberg, Star Tribune, take your pick, The Athletic, before opening day. Here's what drives me crazy. The lack of names that have surfaced via the reporting. We're acting like the Ishbias were it. And Patrick brought the same thing up, and he's 100% right. It's like, well, if the Ishbias aren't going to buy him, no one's going to buy him. Who wants us? They've done, the firm that Declan called that is handling the sale has done, their job is not to report this stuff to the world. Their job is to get prospective buyers and keep them quiet. Now, if you have people digging continually, names come up. That has not taken place, but that's not because people aren't calling. So by opening day, we're going to get at least one more name or company, I don't know what, that's involved here, though. Like, this is not, the Ishbias weren't like one of one, which is what, it's like, oh my God, they're out. What's going to happen now? Well, guess what? Someone's going to buy the Twins.
It's going to be really uncomfortable when the poll ads pull the team off the table in the middle of May.
It's going to happen.
And everyone, fans, media, unleashed all of their truth. I mean, they've sensed the fans haven't liked them for a long time, but like bridges were burned from fans and media, and they're just gonna
pull
the team off the market. Oh man,
who's on the plane that's crashing, and so he calls up like someone and says, and basically tells them that they suck. Blah. So the whole plane starts. And then, of course, at the end, the pilot gets the plane from the dive. It doesn't crash, and they're all like, have told the truth.
I don't know, but that's exactly what is going to happen when they pull this team off the market. What frustrates me is, though, that there are more people involved here, and we're acting like there's not. So we're going to get another name. Okay. Yeah, I would like to. It feels like the whole thing has gone underreported. So either the firm that's in charge of the search organization, and or the high level people with the Twins that are involved too are just super, super tight-lipped, or come on, we got to be a little more aggressive
back in my day at the Star Tribune probably would have had a business reporter or investigative reporter digging on this constantly. Mm-hmm. And they don't now, because it's like the people that cover the Twins don't have also time to like consistently do this story. But you used to have guys who were devoted to a story, who would make phone calls, who would travel places, and that's gone now. which sucks, but I think they still get sold. I hope they don't pull it off the market, man. Oh, God.
Write this down.
Oh, my
Super
gosh.
awkward. All right, Dex, final prediction. I think you're muted there, old Dex.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you muted
at
your.
that.
Oh, my God.
There it is.
That's never
Did
happened.
someone ever write that down on that? I'm sorry.
No, I would never have written that down.
That's pretty hilarious.
Graziano was doing Get Up this morning from like a hotel room in Indianapolis, and he did the same thing. And and Greeny was like, we got technical problems. And Graziano was like, no, that's my bad. Been using Zoom for 5 years and still don't know where the mute button is.
Sometimes you forget it's on.
Yep.
It's true. So Elimination Chamber is this weekend. That's what I was saying while I was muted. So big weekend in WWE pay-per-view. The winner gets to go on to WrestleMania. I know Judd will be glued to Peacock this weekend, ready for Elimination Chamber. So you can now, like on Bet Online AG, bet on WWE matches, which I think is a little suspect.
The limits are pretty low for that reason. Yeah. You can't bet like $1 million on a WWE match for that reason.
So right now, John Cena is minus 1,800 on the money line to win this chamber match, which is insane favorite. He's an insane favorite to win it. I do not buy this. I do not buy it. So write this down. CM Punk, who's the second favorite at plus 275 to win the chamber. I think CM Punk wins this. I am totally okay with Cena eventually getting his 17th title. I want nothing to do with it at WrestleMania with him fighting Cody. And Cody has bigger fish to fry now with The Rock and other storylines in general. It doesn't make any sense to pair up Cody versus John Cena at WrestleMania this year. CM Punk, write this down, does win the men's chamber match this Saturday.
Judd, how do you think the Elimination Chamber structure impacts this match this weekend?
I think it's flawed to start with. And so I think that if it's changed, it would help. And if it's not changed, I'm tired of it.
What would you change about it?
Well, first of all, I think the wording is not right.
Elimination.
I would call it like wrestle to the death or something. Like, let's make it more
the extermination chamber. Is
exactly.
What
Exactly. Let's make it more threatening.
Six guys enter, one comes out alive.
Exactly right.
If you advertised a wrestling paper that five of these guys are literally going to die, would you buy it? I'm
just telling you, that's my idea.
They've gone soft though. I mean, back in the day when it first came out 20 years ago, they had like the chains all over. Now it's kind of padded underneath, like by the ring. It's not as fun as it used to be.
They used to have real glass you could throw guys in. Yeah, into.
Goldberg
now it's kind of plastic,
spearing people into plexiglass, and now it's soft. It's soft.
Ouch.
By the way, the total side note here: the NFL, the new like facilities and organizational grades came out, and the Vikings are. We can mix this in maybe on NFL takes here, but Kevin O'Connell received an A+ grade as a coach according to his players. That's good for OKOC. Write this down.
Write this down.
I'm going to make another quarterback prediction here. Quarterback carousel. Let's go with I gave you Kirk Cousins already. Let's go parlay style. Stafford back to the Rams. I'm going to put Justin Fields on the Jets.
Okay.
Because I think the Jets might even they would roll with Justin Fields as a starter if needed, but I could also see them like doing Justin Fields thing and then drafting Shedeur Sanders if he falls into their laps. And then just as a third part of this parlay here, Vikings tag Sam Darnold in some fashion.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you where he winds up exactly, but Stafford Rams, Fields Jets, Vikings tag Sam Darnold as the third part of that parlay. And I presume they will trade him if that happens. So, all right, those are the predictions. Write that down. The OG edition here, Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. And we'll do a little scoop and reckless speculation session with our guy Doogie tomorrow. And I think we have 3 episodes of Purple Daily hitting today because you guys are doing Purple Access. We got Purple Daily NFL takes, and we have our Write That Down edition too. So it is speculation and rumor season in the league, and we got you covered.